Daybreak here on the Rise News. Time for the press preview. A first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. Let's take a look at This Day, our sister publication. All right. Headline: Deregulation, brace for 750 Naira per litre petrol when subsidy is removed. That's from the stakeholders, just warning Nigerians. Let's take some riders. They want government to channel savings from subsidy to provision of palliatives for the masses. 25 Nigerian crude shipments struggle to find buyers in Europe as French strike continues. Try all thieves for treason, ex-naval policy chief urges the federal government. More headlines: Nigerians grieve as General Oladipo Dia passes at 78. Buhari, Obasanjo, Jonathan, Tinubu, Atiku, governors and others pay tribute. Just above that, Benue PDP suspends National Chairman Iyorchia Ayu for anti-party activities. And above the nameplate of this day, UNN honors, that's the Nigerian University of Nigeria and Nsukka, honors Zenith Bank CEO Ebenezer Onyago with a doctoral degree.
The Punch newspaper is leading with this: INEC votes 3 billion naira to fight electoral cases. PDP vows probe as Benue Ward suspends the national chairman Ayu Iyorchia. The UK to sanction 10 Nigerians. Envoy chides Fani Kayode. And airfares soar as foreign airlines hike exchange rate.
All right, The Sun. UK places 10 Nigerians on visa watch list over ethnic profiling. Envoy says list still growing and says chant of anti-Igbo slogan at polling units unacceptable. Wonders why APC didn't distance self from Fani Kayode's utterances. Atiku Health UK says DSS must arrest ex-aviation minister for inciting comments. Iwanyanwu didn't refer to Yoruba as political rascals. This is coming from Ohaneze. Address pains of Igbo. Oshi monarch urges Tinubu. Census, FG assures Nigerians of credible, acceptable exercise. FEC, Buhari, Obasanjo, Jonathan, Tinubu, Carlo, all of them are mourning Dia, who just passed away recently. And then CBN steps up efforts to end Naira scarcity. Banks to increase dispensing of notes. More trouble for IU as INEC members back suspension by Benue PDP. It's found on page 29.
The Guardian Nigeria, NLC reconsiders a strike as CBN opens votes to banks. NEC meets tomorrow to review its plans and strategies.
This is the Daily Telegraph. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak targets beggars in crackdown on crime. Sturgeon's exit boosts Labour's chances. That was the First Minister of Scotland stepping down. And safe routes to be open for 20,000 migrants a year.
All right, Independent. Ukrainian fans make their voices heard in that picture on the front page. Rishi, we need F-16s. And then just below that, revealed Britain's organ donor crisis.
All right, I newspaper now. Sunak moves to calm Tory nerves ahead of crunch votes on small boats. The government faces a rebellion of up to 60 Tory right-wingers who want to toughen up its flagship illegal migration bill as it hits the Commons today. All right, for the press preview, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello, who joins us from our outside studio. Emmanuel, good morning. Thanks for being here. Let's take a look at what's going on in Nigeria today. Let's start with this day. A warning for Nigerians from stakeholders saying, brace yourselves. After deregulation, you'll be buying petrol for 750 Naira per litre. Emmanuel, can you imagine that?
Well, in good morning. Yes, it's difficult to imagine because even at the present rate, we're already complaining. And I think Indy used to tell me that, look, all this talk about subsidy is worried about this kind of situation where we have to pay this kind of amount for it. But you know, the arguments around the issue of the subsidy, the overwhelming opinion is that subsidy should go. That seems to be, what the dominant discussion around the issue of subsidy. That's in any case, it's not helping us. After all, we're paying huge amounts for the fuel, and we're not getting them. So the thinking in most quarters is that, and this government too have been slammed again and again for not having the political will to do it. And this story today is it's a huge one, and it's keeping with the tradition of this day newspaper to lead with heavy business stories on a Monday. Of course, there was a lull on that because of the political season, but we're still in the election cycle, and this also is part and parcel of the records of the past of this administration as it's passing out, because that's what it promised, that it's going to take away subsidy before the end of its life, and maybe this is it. But now the Nigerians are being presented with the picture, how the outlook, how it's going to look. Are we ready to go that way? Are we ready to pay this kind of amount to just have the product in place? The story did not stop there. It talked about all the other issues, the issue of refinery, the issue of bunkering, and the kind of penalties, and even another crisis that the story is talking about is the fact that we're having troubles with the global oil market. We're not getting the kind of money, so even the kind of markets that we used to have, and that maybe revenues from that sector will be dwindling. So it's a robust story. I like to say it's a special kind of a story from Emmanuel Ade's reporting, and he's been on this for quite a while. No one reports the oil sector like that, and this paper too is reporting it in a way that most other people did not look at it. It's very important. It's an important story in the midst of all the political issues. This is also staring us in the face, the crisis of with taking away the subsidy, and the hardship, if you like, or the increase that will bring to day-to-day Nigerians as we deal with the crisis of of the products.
Talking political issues, Emmanuel, this day is also reporting that Benue PDP has suspended National Chairman Ayu for anti-party activities.
Yes, well, the story is curious, and that is bound to actually, shake the PDP, which is already struggling with a general election that it's still defending, it's still saying, look, it won it, and it's going to court now over it. This is bound to probably raise other issues. But then it centers also around the person of Ayu, who has actually been part and parcel of the larger PDP story. Remember that the Wike group have always asked that he should be removed and all of that, and he's the sacrificial lamb. If you remember, that was the problem before the election. And now again, Ayu is back in the news with stories that he's been sacked by the party in his own base. Some people will say probably it is still the G5 that is at work, and that this is their own way of getting at him, especially now that the party seems to be acting from a very weak position, having apparently lost the presidential election and has gone to court. Atiku saying he's going to reclaim his mandate from there. But this is bound to be a serious issue, shaking the party at its foundation.
Let me continue on that line, Emmanuel Bello. In Punch, the PDP says it's going to investigate, or rather probe, well, two of them are the same, the Benue ward suspension of Ayu. Now, that's one interesting story. The other one is political rascals. Fenifere Knox Iwanyanwu demands Ohanese's clarification, but in one of the paper in Sun, saying that Iwanyanwu did not say that. And of course, the front page story of Punch, INEC votes 3 billion to fight electoral cases, while APC PDP LPs, they are saying that this is too much litigation, costly, budget will not be enough. Senior lawyers are saying this. So take your pick, these stories and review them.
Well, I think lawyers will be salivating at the lead story there. Look at the kind of money that's been voted for just electoral cases and the litigations. I think some lawyers, big-time lawyers, will be getting ready. Some of them already saying, even in that story, that this amount is not enough. Yes, I agree with them. Litigation is a very expensive thing. This election has been about big budget around the issue of the judiciary, around the issue of litigation. INEC itself has spent a lot of money in providing beavers and the rest to run the elections. And if you read the story further, the opposition parties are saying that, well, this is also an indication again of the failure of INEC. Why spending this kind of huge amount if they had an election that everyone can be proud of? That's part of the problem, they say, because if you look at it, INEC will have to defend elections, not just the presidential election that is strictly involved in this defense, but even around the states and some local governments, state house of assembly and other kind of election. INEC will have to be spending a lot of money in defending its role in some of the election, and that's, a lot of people say, that's part and parcel of the problem. It's an election that INEC has spent so much in prosecuting. It's going to spend even more now in defending.
Yes, Emmanuel, I agree with you. Litigation is very expensive, and so far you have over 100 election petitions filed just off the back of these elections. Let's now move on to Guardian Nigeria and its headline this morning: NLC reconsidering that strike that they planned for Wednesday as CBN opens votes to banks. Reports are now saying that this cash scarcity in the country is letting down. After the elections, Emmanuel, was this expected? Were you expecting this?
Well, considering that the cash was taken out of practically taken out of the economy because of the election, to avoid vote buying and all of that. Yes, I think a lot of people say that, well, if it is all about the election, then the situation will change. But Nkechi, like we asked last week, what was it all about? The elections didn't even go the way we thought it was going to go. So what was all that sacrifice? For you and I, we went through a lot. I think Nigerians, deserve some kind of award from going from being cashless in the first place to a policy itself that takes away cash from the economy, and people had to struggle, and the hardship was just almost unbelievable. And now those cash are back, and the issues that we're dealing with is how to even get them. CBN saying that it's released close to 20 billion already to banks, 20 billion naira to banks, so that we have them. But then, of course, yeah, the story is saying that those queues have radically reduced in some places. But the question to ask ourselves is that, okay, so what has this done to us? What are the after effects of this? What are the aftershock? What's the backlash of this whole policy? What's going to happen to the economy going forward? I think this is what the economists we need to weigh in the costs of the cashlessness itself, both in its impact on us as individuals, and of course in doing businesses and the economy generally. I think it's time to do a post-mortem on the policy itself.
And in the Daily Sun, Emmanuel, the UK will be doing a post-mortem on those who've been fomenting violence. The UK places 10 Nigerians on visa watch lists over ethnic profiling.
Well, I wonder if that's enough punishment for those who who dealt with us in this in this electoral cycle. I wonder if just denying them visas to travel to the UK it's enough. But then that's what the UK can do in the midst of it. And even Fanikai, they're coming out to say, look, he's not afraid of any of that, and that's he was still standing tough as at yesterday, saying that, look, he cannot be intimidated by the UK, and that colonialism ended 63 years ago, and so he cannot be intimidated by whatever the UK is planning to do. So, ab initio, even the sanctions is not really resonating in some quarters, especially those who believe they are targeted by this. Maybe something stronger, I don't know, in the form of a heavier punishment, a heavier sanctions will have to come. But a travel ban, a visa denial is one way that, of course, the UK is reacting rising to what a lot of people have considered to be one of the worst kind of example of elections in the third world. So, but is that going to bite? Is that going to dissuade people in the future? Is that going to add value to the kind of elections we are going to have in the future? We have to wait to see how these bans and all these travel bans really, help the situation going forward.
We'll see how that plays out. Thank you so much. That's a press preview. Let's hear your view.